Hello, dear ones. Father Peter John coming to you from the bunker in Bloomington, Indiana. Christ is in our midst. I just want to talk to you about a few things tonight, and they are as follows. Number one, in the fast, please do not forget to drink water like I did today. I don't think I had a sip of water until about 3 o'clock, and then I started getting a headache and getting dizzy. I'm like, what is going on? And we got to remember to drink water. So drink water. That's your tip for the day. Secondly, remember Jesus. You know, Jesus is the one who fasted for 40 days before the beginning of his earthly ministry. He was tempted in all these just horrific ways by the evil one as he was fasting. And, of course, he overcame all of it, and he told his disciples, you know, when you fast, this is how I want you to do it. You know, I want you to anoint your head with oil. I don't want you to disfigure your faces. You know, basically, he wanted us to be joyous and to look joyful, to realize why we were doing what we were doing. You know, that we were giving things up because there was something that was more important for us than our favorite foods, you know, and that is Christ. He's more important to us than having the things that we want to put in our mouth when we want to put them in our mouth, you know. So anyway, that's just an encouragement to you. And then finally, I just wanted to say we're going to be celebrating tomorrow, depending on when you watch this video, it's tonight or tomorrow. On Tuesday, we'll be celebrating St. Gregory the wonderworker of Caesarea. And just in brief, you know, he's called the wonderworker. He has this amazing title, and there actually are not a whole lot of his recorded miracles that have been passed on to us. He lived so long ago, you know, he lived in the 3rd century, and but his title comes to us, and his reputation comes to us as a man of prayer. Just in brief, he grew up in a pagan family when his father died when he was 14, and so he and his brother went off to study. And he ended up studying under Origen, the early Christian thinker, theologian, philosopher, etc. And through his studies with Origen, he himself became a Christian and then just became this kind of a powerhouse of a man with prayer, with fasting, with his theological understanding, with his philosophical understanding, his rhetorical skills, etc. And but after he finished his studies, he returned home to Caesarea, and he went out to the outside of town, to the outskirts, kind of to live in the desert, you know. And he was fasting and praying and fasting and praying and fasting and praying. That's what he was doing. But a local bishop found out that he was out there and that he had this reputation as being this wonderful man of God. And so the bishop decided he thought that St. Gregory should be the bishop of Caesarea. Mind you, there were only 17 Christians in Caesarea at that time. That's pretty amazing. So it was just a huge pagan town, right? That's what it was. So the bishop then sets the time and the date, and Gregory does not show up. He didn't show up. He didn't want to be the bishop. Well, so this bishop decided he was going to say the prayers of ordination, elevation anyway. So he did. He went to the church and he said the prayers and he prayed with Gregory's name, and the people who were there knew who he was praying about. And Gregory found out about this and he was kind of so amazed. He'd never heard of anything like this before. He thought this was a sign from God that he'd better go and kind of complete the process. So he went to the bishop. The bishop laid his hands on him and finished the process. And Gregory became the bishop there in Caesarea. It is said that when there was a persecution under the Emperor Decius, that he took his flock, he and his deacon, they took the flock and they went up to a mountain and they hid out there. But there was an informant who told the emperor's henchmen where St. Gregory and the parish was. And so they went up there with their weapons, and when they got up there, they looked everywhere. And Gregory was out there and he was praying and his hands raised to heaven. And he was praying. He told his deacon, he said, "Come here, pray with me." The two of them raised their hands and prayed to God. And the soldiers could not see the faithful. They were walking all around them. They couldn't see them. So they went back down and they reported this. They said, there was nobody on that mountain. All we saw was 2 large trees standing next to one another. And the informant realized that this must be Gregory and the deacon, and he was so struck by this miracle that he himself, the informant, converted to Christianity. So at the end of St. Gregory's life, it is said that there were only 17 unbelievers in the city. It's amazing. He started his ministry with 17 believers. He finished his ministry with only 17 unbelievers left in the city. What an amazing testament to the grace of God and to the faithfulness of this man that they call the wonderworker, Gregory. Lord, have mercy. God bless you. Be encouraged in this period of fasting. We're in it together, and we should lift one another up in prayer and encourage one another in our struggles together. For God is with us. Christ is in our midst. He is and ever shall be.